Yes. We are watching and listening to that. And we're muting the sound on that because we're going to do a few readings. I'm doing good, thanks. How are you? We do the Holy Bible. Got a lot of requests for it. Hopefully. Yeah, a lot of people were asking that. It looks like the most answered answer, I guess to say, the most common response. Yeah, most common response. The most common response looks like a lot of people are saying, oh, to what question? Sorry, I've been listening to a bunch of different things and reading and yeah, La La Land. Cheers. Having some water. Yes, thank you. Right, so it does. It looks like the most common response to that question. The question is, it's kind of hard to even say the question because it's so. Yeah, I guess basically they're asking, like, who seems to have a problem with whatever Trump's ordering the military presence. It seems some are just going to have a problem with anything he does, good or bad or whatever. Uh, yeah, it's interesting. They said, who seems to have the biggest problem with that? And a lot of people are saying, yeah, they're probably just confused people, the Trump haters, the Luigi lovers, people that don't want to talk about the important issues, the vaccines, healthcare, probably the pill poppers and druggies and traffickers. Other people hiding behind the scenes, worrying about getting arrested, are depending on all those people making a lot of noise. Yeah, so yeah, you won't see those people making too much noise, but they depend on those people making a lot of noise. It's okay. Others are making some good noise about the important things. Thank goodness. Yeah, we've posted some actually. Yeah, we did actually post like at least 3 or 4 of those today. Yeah. Some call it good, healthy Joshin. That just helps to shake them up a little bit in a good, healthy way. I mean, as you can see, the bad guys aren't just shaking people up. They're murdering and killing innocent hostages and children. And it's pretty bad when you look at some of these situations. So a little bit of noise never hurt anyone, right? Come on, feel the noise. In a safe, healthy way. Right, exactly. Alright, page 792. Okay, good ones. The rule of Emmanuel. But a shoot shall sprout from the stump of Jesse, and from his roots a bud shall blossom. The Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, a spirit of wisdom and understanding, a spirit of counsel and of strength, a spirit of knowledge and of fear of the Lord. And his delight shall be the fear of the Lord. Not by appearance shall he judge, nor by hearsay shall he decide. Hearsay shall he decide. But he shall judge the poor with justice, and decide aright for the land's afflicted. Yet many seem to get upset when people don't want to go by hearsay, and then get offended when they don't agree with them or their opinion. Yeah, when the people want to believe the hearsay or, yeah, that kind of thing to fit their own personal, yes, I agree. It makes a lot of sense. It does and it doesn't, right? Not by appearance shall he judge, not by hearsay shall he decide, but he shall judge the poor with justice, and decide aright for the land's afflicted. He shall strike the ruthless with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he shall slay the wicked. Justice shall be the band around his waist, and faithfulness a belt upon his hips. Then the wolf shall be a guest of the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid. The calf and the young lion shall browse together, with a little child to guide them. The cow and the bear shall be neighbors. Together their young shall rest. The lion shall eat hay like the ox. The baby shall play by the cobra's den, and the child lay his hand on the Aiden's lair. There shall be no harm or ruin on all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be filled with knowledge, and the Lord, as water covers the sea, will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord, as water covers the sea. Right, and when someone said, when they say, strike the ruthless with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall slay the wicked. It can sound very loving or harsh. Yes. The love and the wrath, and it's all for the better good of everybody. And he hopes to make good with them, right? To eat bread with them eventually. Doesn't want to just be ruthless. Not to be mean to the ruthless, but shall strike the ruthless with the rod of the mouth. Yes, I see. I understood what you meant. It was just a slip of tongue. Yeah, that exactly. When they say that he shall slay the wicked and strike the ruthless, it doesn't mean to, right, some may actually want to slay or strike, but yeah, no, exactly. Vengeance and fury and wrath. Like a sermon. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Right, so I totally understand what you're saying there. So, and it's not to kill them or, I mean, sometimes someone might get a lashing or have to serve some time. Right, so they don't allow lashings anymore, I don't think, right? Maybe in some households, some places, to each their own. Yeah, it gets a little sticky with some situations. Yeah, many don't seem to understand that when they're so protected in certain areas or communities, households, upbringings. Yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you please and you know you're protected. If anyone did lash you or hit you, they're going to be dealt with by the law, put in jail. That's an assault. You almost want to run your mouth so they hit you, and then you know they're going to jail for assault. Yeah, a lot of people do that. So it's just common sense kind of stuff and learning basic human treatment, I guess one could say. Yeah. It's pretty scary when you hear how some people talk and what they think. Well, sure, maybe some people in some households or communities or gangs or groups of people, snitches get stitches. Yeah. You run your mouth about the truth, you're going to get fucked, right? Yeah, so when you have people in our systems going along with that stuff and saying that kind of stuff and protecting those kind of people, that's a little scary to, I think, many people across the board. At least the commonsensical people that are within all those institutions and forces. We like to think the good outweighs the bad, and it's just the ones you're going to hear speaking up, are less and less, and then more and more, and then people get silenced, and yeah, what rises. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, it's just a matter probably of getting through a lot of that and understanding with kind, loving, respectful energy the best we can. Yes, I agree. As you can see, we have a lot of movies and displays of emotion, both live. Isn't that kind of cool? You can do it live now. I mean, when in history, when did that start? Like, when could we actually go live? Like, general public. Well, right, and then you have, of course, the history of radio. You could call into a radio station, so I guess that's been around for quite a while. Yes, it depends on, as far as live online, for general public, depends on the specific context and what live online refers to. Here are a few possibilities. Initially, it was developed for military and research purposes, became available to the general public in a more usable form. The introduction of the World Wide Web by Tim Berners-Lee. He released the web into the public domain in 1993. What else was referenced today for 1993? Oh, Grumpy Old Men came out in 1993. We watched that this morning. Is that what you were? Could have been? Okay, whatever. Well, that's the only other 93 reference I remember for today, so. The availability of easy-to-use browsers like Netscape Navigator in 1995 further popularized the web for public use. Became more popular platforms like YouTube 2008, 2011. It's interesting. We mention that time frame a lot, don't we? 2008 to 2012. Well, that's to 2011, but yeah, same kind of time frame. Yeah, when you connect that to the same kind of broadcasting networks, do you want to call that for now? It always changes, doesn't it? But we mean the same thing. That just might be best for the generalized audience at the moment. Yeah, 12:47. The timer, it's 2:48 here, but it's 12:47 into the video. Yeah. All right, let's keep reading. Union of Ephraim and Judea. On that day, the root of Jesse, set up as a signal for the nations. The Gentiles shall seek out. I'm trying to play to universally, so you understand that, right? I know it can be confusing to an individual group or person, but then when you get like, oh, it's kind of trying to be universal and appease to all the audiences and personalities, I guess. Something like that. Yeah, to try to make it make sense in layman's terms across the board or something. I don't know. Union of Ephraim and Judea. You're so funny. On that day, the root of Jesse, set up as a signal for the nations. The Gentiles shall seek out, for his dwelling shall be glorious. On that day, the Lord shall again take it in hand to reclaim the remnant of his people that is left from Assyria and Egypt, Pathros, Ethiopia, and Elam, Shinar, Hamath, and the isles of the sea. He shall raise a signal to the nations and gather the outcasts of Israel. The dispersed of Judea he shall assemble from the four corners of the earth. The envy of Ephraim shall pass away, and the rivalry of Judea be removed. Somehow, just kind of almost the awareness sometimes, acceptance, understanding, that's you in a way, right? almost whatever story or character. And God lifted them up. You raised me up. It could be anybody at any given time, anything being. Right? The dispersed of Judea, he shall assemble. It could be anybody at any time. You want to kind of encapsulate the good things though, right? And sometimes you play the bad role, but just for fun, right? For theater class. Right? You wouldn't do that out in the real public, right? Sometimes even expressing your real emotions, you hold back in public spaces because you know it's not appropriate, but in the privacy of your own room, you might do that, right? Especially if you're talking to yourself and to some of the worst criminal networks in the world who tried to kill you and are fucking and torturing your children. Yeah, I mean, sometimes the emotions might seem a little angry, right? Right, and then with psychotic people in the community who don't want to talk about the important issues like vaccines and the innocent targeting, the heinous targeting of innocent people. It seems innocent though, right? Because you mean well and think you're doing good, right? I know. Yeah, so then when you get targeted by those people and ignored and yelled at, they ignore the actual issues. It's very frustrating over the years what's been going on here. So yeah, when we're in our rooms expressing ourselves to those things and then the people blindly protecting those sick motherfuckers, the pill-popping alcoholic pieces of shit, I'm sorry, we could use better terminology. We love you too. We think you're great, beautiful, amazing people. We can have tea together or not. Cheers. Yeah, we do actually. We wish you the best. We hope safety, peace, love for everybody. And it's very sad and frustrating when so many are just filled with hate. Prescription drugs, street drugs, chemicals, ego. Basing their actions and motivated by evil forces, money, political stuff, bullshit investigations. Very important though too. It's helped a lot of people see through on the other end, so thank you for that as well. Very much so. No, for real, hats are off, my goodness. And they're on too. Oh, they're on alright. I got my fishing hat, I got my floppy hat. They're one and of the same. Bandanas and head wraps, you got it. But yeah, when those people in the community are protecting those individuals, it's very frustrating. We see it all the time in these situations. It usually hardly gets to that. Yeah, the me usually isn't aware, usually gets killed if it does become too aware. Yeah, keeping composure in those kind of environments and realities. And then, yeah, when you see the demeanor of others, it can be very frustrating. And when they're just throwing fuel on the fire over and over again as though they're just trying to prove people to be racist or have anger issues. Show the need for prescription drugs, huh? They need it. Look how angry and upset they are. Yeah, it's disturbing on a lot of levels. We're very concerned about the children and the hostages. For us, we're already dead. Our children have been tortured and abused for years. So, I mean, don't try to do us any favors or be a hero. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people do, and then you have radicals that might take those places or people out just because of the connections with the foreign hoax channels when you look at a lot of that. You can see why it's so heavily protected, too, by a lot of other entities because they know how important it is to protect certain situations and right? Sometimes you want to keep things quiet in certain areas. You don't want too much noise. And then other times you might want a lot of noise. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so a lot of that stuff people are just trying to bring awareness to. All the hoopla. So a lot of people were joking about that, the video clip of the thing flying over the dog's head on the mountain. And they're like, is that a UFO? Well, if you're asking that, then yes. If you don't know what it is, it could have been a ball. It could have been a rocket. Could have been a plane. Could have been someone with a really cool slingshot. Yeah, that almost looked like one of those rocket launcher thingies. Yeah, that's what I thought too. But yeah, it's just funny. It's like just an example. Professionals reporting the news. I know, they should have a sidekick to kind of correct them a little bit. Well, dummy, if you're asking that question, then yes, it is. It's an unidentified flying object. Can someone tell him exactly what that is? Well, I mean, even the smartest person on Earth. It was going pretty fast. I mean, it could have been a number of things. Okay. Some kind of UFO, planet, spaceship from another planet? Probably not, no. Probably the most less likely explanation for that. But you're going to go with that and get a lot of money and funding to try to prove that's what it was? Just like the ghost, just like God, just like, shut the fuck up. I mean, I don't know what the fuck it's going to take. I'm so sorry. I mean, please be quiet with that stuff. It's really poisoning the minds of humanity. I know it's making a lot of people a lot of money and they're building really cool stuff, and that means we get computers and cell phones, so shh. I don't think so. I think you got it twisted. I think they want to bring understanding and awareness to people about that stuff too, as high as you get. And they got so many people working under them too, right? Scouters and investors, marketers, writing books, documenters, stenographers. There's so much. I know, right? And then one day this little pocket thing came along and it can get rid of all of you people who don't need none of y'all to do any of that. Stop it. And they get pissed off like, hey, we had a job and now we don't. Well, you want to do something else? We got other things you can do. Well, you don't like those? Well, so sorry. I know you don't want to have to deal with people, touch people, nothing to do with the public. Well, what do you want us to do? I don't know. It's very weird. Song of Thanksgiving is next. We'll do that one in a little bit. My voice is tired. Let's watch this. Oh, yes, we're doing this for a full read too, after the other two full reads. The Peacemaker Who Went to War. Yes, this is a great book. We can do a quick one from there. Page 94. 93. There's another 93 for you. Bela Lugosi, remember that Invisible Ghost? That's a good movie. You want to watch that one? It's on the Cult Cinema Classics channel. We'll start on page 91. Don John went. Don John? Don John I of Castile was a year younger than Don John I of Portugal. The king of Castile was rather short and heavy-set, and melancholy aspect. He was of excellent character, but of exceedingly mild disposition, excellent in a subject, but needing added, forceful virtues in a king. He was not a good leader. He lacked both forcefulness and prudence. Yeah, those kind of expressions were, I really didn't understand too much of what I was just reading. Yeah, probably a little bit of something else too, I don't know. I'm a little thirsty, that could have been in there too. I got a lot of thoughts going on. I'm watching this, talking about Bela Lugosi. No indigestion. He often changed his mind and was more prone to listen to the flattery of selfish courtiers than to the counsel of his statesmen. He held long and frequent councils and usually did what he himself had planned before the council convened. The regal weakness in the king, together with constant weakness of health, made him restless. Taciturn, for the crossword, taciturn. Tacky, not tacty, tacky. Taciturn. Taciturn, unhappy. It made him restless, taciturn, unhappy. Often racked with fever, he had to follow his army on a litter. Knowing this, Nuno felt somewhat compensated for being outnumbered 4-1 in men, and even more in material. Nuno sent his message to the King of Castile at Leiria, 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 because that was the part of Portugal Nuno knew well. It was there that he had ridden as a boy, exploring every cave and brook, every woodland pass. Hastening there with his army, Nuno took up his position at Aljubarrota, and an elevation where the Castilian army would pass between two deep, fast-flowing streams, thus gaining a tremendous advantage of position. The great and decisive battle of the war was about to be fought. There had been many clashes of arms, many cities taken, many skirmishes between Portuguese and Castilian patrols, which we have not mentioned. All had contributed to the great pitch of excitement that gripped the contending forces as the climate conflict approached. When the Castilian army neared Aljubarrota, somewhat ahead of the Second Army with its reinforcements and supplies, the counselors of the King of Castile urged him to wait for the reinforcements. But Don John, seeing a chance to take Nuno off guard by sending a tremendous force of cavalry to flank Nuno's forces, was impetuous to give battle and gave immediate orders. It was August 14th, 1385, at dawn, the vigil of Assumption. Nuno and his men were fasting in preparation for Our Lady's great feast. They rose before the sun to attend masses being said throughout the camp. Many of the men went to Holy Communion, which in those days was infrequent. With the rising of the sun, the Castilians appeared, and the call to battle was sounded. All day, almost until sundown, the Castilians maneuvered for position. Nuno had about 8,000 men. The Castilians had over 30,000. 8,000, 30,000. It's a big difference. And raising his troops, I know they always say there could be 5-1 or 1 to 1,000,000 sometimes. Some things, it's not always numbers that matter, I guess, with some things. Yeah, exactly. In arranging his troops, Nun Alvarez deliberately chose for himself, personally, the most dangerous position. His white banner that had already seen the triumph of Altarrios, flaming with the red of the cross, undulated over his head. To all who looked at it, seemed a promise of victory. On the ground beneath the waving emblem, the general finally knelt in fervent prayer. As a pledge of his gratitude, he said to his holy lady in heaven, "I shall erect a temple on this very spot for you after the victory." Has the battle appeared imminent? Towards evening, Nuno rose and held up his hand to command silence. To flee, he said, seriously, addressing a much larger and different army than the one at Altorios, would be certain death. Fight, therefore, we must, like heroes. Stand firm with your lances at rest until the enemy attacks. Then we shall drive them back, and the victory shall be yours. Almost as he was speaking, a tremendous roar, like thunder, broke from thousands of Castilian throats. Aelos! Aelos! At them! At them! Aelos means at them. The shrill cries of the trumpets sounded in desperate appeal. The clanging metal of the armor mingled with the furious stamping of galloping horses. The vanguard of Castilian cavalry, with colorful banners streaming in the wind, rushed headlong at a furious gallop against the waiting quadrangle Portuguese. It was just 6 o'clock in the evening. Portugal! St. George! The cry of Nuno's troops was hurled back. Steady, seemingly fearless, they stood up under the shock of the careening phalanx, charging into the stubborn formation of the Portuguese. The Castilians' ranks were broken and became lost in irregular masses. The horses, rushing in their fury upon the thicket of inclined lances, were stricken to the ground. Their maddened riders hurled themselves down upon the foe. Disordered though they were, they almost broke through the line. Then, however, the two wings of Portuguese cavalry rushed forward. They hurled themselves into the breach. With them was a part of the rear guard, rearguard, G-U-A-R-D, commanded by the king himself. Thus they kept their fortress of flesh and blood intact, like an unshaken wall opposing the wave of Castilians. On both sides men fought like lions. Axes, swords, rapiers, crossword, R-A-P-I-E-R-S, rapiers circled in tremendous blows. Arrows whistled through the air. Lance clashed on lance and burst in splinters. The very stumps became weapons of attack or defense in the hands of those heroic warriors. The peer of Portuguese poets, Lewis of Cameos, writes, Their forceful volleys out the crossbows pour. Their forceful volleys out the crossbows pours, and clouds are darkened with the arrowy shower, and yet foam reeking over their wavy mane. The snorting coursers rage and paw the plain. Beat by their iron hoofs, the plain rebounds. A distant thunder through the mountains sounds. From W.J. Mickles, translation of Cameos, Lucidades, Geo Bell and Sons, New York, 1892. You're welcome. Thank you. We'll pause there. 34:25. Yes, you're welcome. We're gonna watch this. Yeah, this is a good movie. 34 minutes in. Hey, so is this.
You didn't have a chance. Well, I guess I'll be running along. Oh, no, Dixon. Good day, Lieutenant. Well,
Yes.
This is the very better grade on the pen again.
Yes, thank
You
you.
know, Mr. Chestnut,
I see it.
I have a
Yes.
feeling that somehow or other these mysterious
Thank
murders are
you
going to be
very
cleared up.
much.
When
I
we do,
see it.
nothing will please
I
me
do
more.
see it.
Your wife? Yes. She's beautiful.
Awesome.
I haven't
Thank
thought
you
about
so
her,
much.
but I think about her constantly. She has eyes like a teen. Her hair, her skin, they were the loveliest I've ever seen. I hope you have the pleasure of meeting her. She'll be back someday.
Hello there.
All with admiring your mother's picture.
Father's a sentimentalist.
He has every right to be.
I'll get it.